This conference will now be recorded.
Hello students. So now we are learning about plant kingdom and this is the second part and third chapter in your NEET syllabus. So here in this chapter we are learning about the salient features and classification of plants into major groups. So we are dividing this plants or we are making these plants into main groups like algae, bryophytes, pteridophytes, gymnosperms and angiosperms. So these are the main plant types. Okay. So here all the multicellular eukaryotic plants, all multicellular eukaryotic plants, they are placed in specific kingdom which is called as kingdom plantae, right? Which is the kingdom plantae, right? Or plant kingdom. So these, the members of this kingdom plantae, they are autotrophic, right? Plants are autotrophic. And that means, what do you mean by autotrophic? They are manufacturing their own food. Okay, so how they are making their own food? By photosynthesis, right? So the plant groups, which are the main plant groups, or which are the main plant groups coming under kingdom plantae? Here you can see the main groups like algae, then bryophyta, third one is pteridophyta, fourth one is gymnosperm, and fifth one is angiosperm. Okay, so here these are the main groups of plants. Which are they? These plant groups are coming under kingdom plantae. These are algae, bryophyta, pteridophyta, gymnosperm and angiosperms, right? So here first we are learning about algae. So the study of algae, that is called as phycology. Phycology is the study of algae. And who's the father of phycology? Father of phycology, Fritz. And here, father of Indian phycology. Indian phycology. Phycology is the study of algae, and father of Indian phycology is M.O.P. Iyengar. Okay, he's the father of Indian phycology. So now we need to learn about the general features of this algae. So what are all the general features of algae? General features we can say, like, see, algae both in both freshwater and marine water environment, we can see freshwater forms are there and marine water forms are also there. Both are there. Freshwater forms and marine water forms are there, and algae are found in many forms, like in filamentous forms you can see, colonial form you can see, that is found in many forms. Many forms in the sense it may be colonial form or it may be filamentous form. And another point which you can say about algae is, algae, they are surrounded by mucilaginous sheet. Okay. There is a mucilaginous sheath which is surrounding the algae, and below that sheath cell wall is present. Okay, below that what is present? Cell wall. Cell wall is present below that sheath, and this cell wall that is made up of, cell wall is made up of, the cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. Okay, cellulose and pectin. Cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin. First mucilaginous sheath will be present, and under that cell wall will be present, and this cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin, and mainly it is made up of what and all, like cellulose, galactons, mannans, and some minerals like calcium carbonate. Clear? And other points, like on the basis of structure. Okay, structure. On the basis of the structure, this algae, we can say they are thalloid. They're showing thalloid structures, but their plant body is not, thalloid structure is there, but the plant body is not differentiated, or it is not, we cannot say that root is there, stem is there, and leaves are there, like that we cannot say. It's having a thalloid structure which is not differentiated into root, stem, and leaves. And in algae you cannot see a tissue system, or tissue system is absent in algae. Tissue system is, that is absent. Okay, then another point which you need to say about algae, these are the general features which you need to mention, general nature of algae. So on the basis of nutrition, this algae, we can say that they are photoautotropic in nature. Photoautotropic in nature. Which one? Algae. Okay, they're photoautotropic in nature, and they have plastid. Okay, so in plastid is present, and in that they have the plastid, in that photosynthetic pigments are present. Okay, so in the plastid photosynthetic pigments are present, and your classification of algae, we are classifying this algae that is mainly based on pigment. So in plastid pigments are present. Okay, and the classification of algae, that is based on the pigments. Main classification is based on pigments like chlorophyll A, beta carotene. So all these, based on that we are classifying, right? Next is about reproduction. Okay, about their reproduction we are going to say. So reproduction of algae, what we can say about reproduction of algae? In reproduction of algae, you can see three types, like vegetative reproduction is there. Then another type reproduction, asexual reproduction, you can see in algae. Then third type, sexual reproduction, also you can see in algae. Okay, so in asexual reproduction, here you can see zoospores. Asexual reproduction is zoospores, by zoospores. Zoospore formation, that is done during asexual reproduction in favorable condition. Zoospores are forming. So let me write it separately about asexual reproduction in algae. During asexual reproduction, if favorable condition is present, they will form zoospores. Zoospore formation during favorable condition. This is one mode of asexual reproduction. Then when conditions are not favorable, they may form aplanospores and hypnospores, then echinates. These are during unfavorable. During unfavorable condition, they will form these kind of spores. Which one? Aplanospores, hypnospore, and echinate. These are formed during the unfavorable condition. Here you can see the zoospore formation in Chlamydomonas. So during favorable condition, Chlamydomonas will form zoospores. So In zoospore formation, you can see in Chlamydomonas. Clear? Then, what about the sexual reproduction? So here, vegetative reproduction, asexual reproduction, sexual reproduction. Three modes of reproductions you can see in algae. And about asexual reproduction, we said during favorable condition, they will do the asexual reproduction in the form of zoospore formation. And when unfavorable conditions are present, they'll form a planospore, hypnospore, and echinid. Okay. Then we are going to say about sexual reproduction in algae. Okay, here male sex organ, sexual reproduction in algae. So for the sexual reproduction in algae, you can see the male sex organ, male sex organ that is called as antheridium, and the female is called as oogonium. Okay, antheridium and oogonium. So the sex organ of algae that is unicellular, here sex organ of algae that is unicellular, and they doesn't have a jacket less, they doesn't have jacket. But this is the general case we are saying about green algae. But here generally we are saying about algae, but in the green algae, which one? Cara. So this green algae, which is called as stonewort. Cara is otherwise called as stonewort. See here you can see this is Cara, and this is also called as stonewort. In this, the sex organs, that is multicellular, right? And they are jacketed, or they're with jacket. So generally you can see in algae the sex organs that is unicellular, and they have no jacket. But there also some exceptional cases are there in green algae, like the one green algae example we are saying, the exceptional one, stonewort or cara. In that multicellular sex organ you can see, and they doesn't have sorry, they have jacket. Normally they doesn't have jacket, but here in this case, in the case of cara, it is multicellular and with jacket. Clear? And here in cara you can see male sex organ of cara that is called as globule. Here this is the globule, the male sex organ, male sex organ of cara. And here globule, that is the female, sorry, male sex organ is called as globule, and the female one is called as nucleus. Here this is the female one, nucleus. Okay, this is the female one. Male one is called as globule and the female one is called as nucleus. And here the plant body of algae is haploid, right? Plant body of algae that is haploid, right? So here the sexual reproduction takes place through zygotic meiosis. Sexual reproduction that is through zygotic meiosis. Okay, so here their life cycle is haplontic, but in brown algae, again one more, generally in algae the life cycle is haplontic life cycle, but in brown algae it is diploid. Okay, then another point which we need to mention about algae, the algae they'll reproduce by zygotic meiosis, which said that means first division in zygote is meiosis. First division, first zygotic division that is meiosis. Clear? So here embryo is not formed. Meiosis was taking place. First zygotic division is meiosis. So embryo is not formed. Okay. Then here the sexual reproduction, we can say it is of three types like isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Sexual reproduction, three types, which are the isogamous, then anisogamous, and third one is oogamous. Okay, here isogamous means, for that examples we need to give chlamydomonas, uh, dibarianum, then eulothrix, then spirogyra, cladophora, all these are having isogamous. Okay, then anisogamous, chlamydomonas brunei. Okay, then in oogamous we can see chlamydomonas coxifera. Okay, and volvox, fucus, cara, all these are having oogamous reproduction also. Then few general points which we need to say about some algae, that is chlamydomonas, that is having or that is exhibiting complete evolution of sexual reproduction. Chlamydomonas, that is showing complete evolution of sexual reproduction, right? And especially chlamydomonas dibarianum, we can say that gametes are flagellated. Dibarianum, in that gametes are flagellated. You can see flagellated gametes, and they are similar in size because their isogamy is taking place. So their gametes are similar in size. But in Chlamydomonas brownie, in Chlamydomonas brownie, the gametes, motile gametes, you can see. Motile gametes are there and they are dissimilar. But gametes are motile, but they are dissimilar in size because anisogamy is taking place. Right? Due to anisogamy, they are not having similar size. Here, most of the species of this Chlamydomonas, we can say they show isogamy. Okay, most of the species will show isogamy. Then about Spirogyra, we need to say the Spirogyra, that is in this gametes are non-flagellated. Spirogyra gametes are non-motile because they doesn't have flagella to move and they are similar in size. Isogamy is taking place, so they are similar in size. Then what about Cladophora? Cladophora, in this isogametes, they are biflagellated. Isogamy is taking place, then biflagellated gametes are forming. Then Eudorina, which is another one, another algae, Eudorina, which is a green algae. This is a green algae and the fusion between two gametes. They are taking place. Fusion of dissimilar sized gametes because anisogamy is taking place. So gametes are having different or they are not having similar size. So these gametes which are not having similar size, that will be fusing. Which one? In Eudorina. Okay, so these are the things which we need to learn about the general features of some special algae. Then here we can say that algae, we know that algae is classified based on their photosynthetic pigments, right? Based on photosynthetic pigments, algae are classified into right? So algae, they are divided into different classes like chlorophyceae, which is green algae. And second type is phaeophyceae, which is brown algae. And third one is rhodophyceae, which is red algae. Okay, chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae, and rhodophyceae. Chlorophyceae is the green algae, phaeophyceae is brown algae, and rhodophyceae is red algae. And this classification is based on the photosynthetic pigment which is present in algae. So first, let's see chlorophyceae. See, chlorophyceae, we can say green algae. Chlorophyceae is green algae, right? And this green algae, they are the most advanced algae. Most advanced. Green algae are most advanced algae, and it is believed that this green algae, they are the ancestors of higher plants. They're considered as ancestors of higher plants. It is saying that the green algae are the ancestors of higher plants. And actually, this green algae, they are cosmopolitan in nature. Green algae are cosmopolitan in nature. And about the structure, when we are saying green algae, usually they have a rigid cell wall. And this cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectose. Okay, cellulose and pectose. The cell wall is made up of cellulose, which is the inner layer, and outer layer of pectose. Okay, and this green algae, they are found in many forms. So here you can see many type of green algae. So here from this itself you can make out green algae are present in many forms. So first one, the unicellular form. See here you can see the unicellular form, Chlamydomonas. That is the unicellular form. Okay, that is an example for unicellular form of green algae. So Chlamydomonas, that is example is Chlamydomonas. Here you can see which is the unicellular green algae, but here you can see flagella. So that shows that is motile unicellular green algae, right? And this algae, it is moving with the help of flagella. Here you can see the flagella. See, here two flagellas are there. So with the help of this flagella, this unicellular green algae can move, right? And this is a flagella. Here you can see uh, chloroplast will be there, eye spot will be there. So all these are there for Chlamydomonas. And one more unicellular algae, you can see chlorella. This is the first example. Another unicellular algae is chlorella, which is another form. This is non-motile. This is non-motile unicellular algae. See, you are getting a question like write an example for non-motile unicellular algae. Don't get confused. Chlamydomonas, you should always remember the picture. Chlamydomonas is having flagella, so it is a motile form. Chlorella, which is a unicellular green algae, and it doesn't have flagella, it is non-motile. The next one is Acetabularia. Here, Acetabularia, that is the largest unicellular plant. Acetabularia is the largest unicellular green algae. Okay. Here, according to this five kingdom classification, we can say that this algae, which is described now, that should be placed in Protista, kingdom Protista. But the life cycle of this green algae, that is similar to um, see, the life cycle of these explained algae, that is similar to green algae. So they are placed in plantae. That's why they are placed in plant kingdom. Otherwise, they would have placed in kingdom Protista. Okay, but the life cycle, due to the life cycle similarity, they are placed in algae. Right? So here you have learned about unicellular form. Next, we are learning about colonial forms of green algae. Colonial forms of green algae. See, some green algae, they are found in colonies, or they are living as colonial forms. So that forms colony of cells. Colony of cells, that makes, right? So the number of cells in a colony, that is fixed. You can see fixed number of cells in colony. Okay, not as much as they want. It's like there will be fixed number for the members. Okay, so the colony with fixed number of cells, that is called as colony with fixed number of cells, that is called as cenobium. Okay, so here example for cenobium, you can see volvox, that will be that is an example for colonial form of green algae. So some green algae, they are found in colonies, and they form colony of cells. Colonies of what? Colony of cells. So the number of cells in a particular colony, that will be limited number. There won't be like how many numbers they want they can make. It's not like that. It is limited number, and it is fixed. And the colony with a fixed number of cells, that is called as cenobium. And here you can see volvox is the example for colonial form. Here you can see the bacterial, the algal colony. You can see here inside this. These are the colonies of volvox. And this volvox, that is a motile colony, which is the motile colony. Okay, here you can see these are the parental colonies, and here daughter colonies. You can see the green rounds. These are the daughter colonies. Here one more thing is like multicellular filamentous. Now unicellular forms we have learned about that. Then colonial forms we are learning now, and next we are going to learn about what? We are going to learn about multicellular filamentous forms. It's filamentous but multicellular. So most of the green algae, they are multicellular. Okay, and they are filamentous, right? For example, we can say Eulothrix and Spirogyra. These are both are multicellular, and they are filamentous forms. Then the multicellular thalloid forms or parenchymatous. multicellular thalloid forms. We can say some algae. They are multicellular in length and width. Like here, we can say example, alva. Okay, then generally we need to say we are saying like based on the pigment which is present, based on that algae, they are classified into uh, different types, right? So the pigments, photosynthetic pigments which are present. Photosynthetic pigments which are present, that is chlorophyll. This chlorophyll which is present in green algae, like chlorophyll A and chlorophyll B. Then carotene. That is beta carotene. And next is xanthophyll. Xanthophyll, violoxanthin and lutaxanthin, both are yellow colored. Okay, the next point is about asexual reproduction. Here also zoospores are formed during favorable condition, and eplanospores and hypnospores are, and echinates, they are formed in the unfavorable condition. So asexual reproduction during favorable conditions, zoospores are getting formed, and during unfavorable condition, hypnospores, eplanospores, echinates, all these are formed during unfavorable condition. Then about sexual reproduction. Right. About sexual reproduction, when we are saying sexual reproduction may be isogamous. That means equal. Then anisogamous. Then, or we can say that oogamous. So sexual reproduction may be isogamous, anisogamous, and oogamous. Okay. Then we said on the basis of pigments, chlorophyll A, chlorophyll B, and carotenoids, and based on stored food. Stored food means in the form of starch. The stored food will be in the form of starch, and the cell wall, which is made up of cellulose and pectose. So based on all these things, green algae they are considered like higher plants. So they are showing similarity to higher plants based on all these things, because they have the pigments like chlorophyll A, B, carotenoids and all, they are showing, and they are showing stored food which is in the form of starch, and they have cell wall which is made up of cellulose and pectin. So that's why they are showing some similar characters like higher plants. Okay. And as storage bodies, we can say one or more pyrenoids which is present in the chloroplast, that is working as a storage bodies. And these pyrenoids, they have protein. Other than starch, they'll be having protein also. Clear? Then the economic importance of algae. Economic importance. About the economic importance of algae, we are saying, means about the green algae, the economic importance, like for food, we are using for food, like chlorella, that is used as food, and chlorella has large amount of protein. So that is the main use as a food. Then antibiotic. Chlorella is the example. Then for antibiotic, this from chlorella, we are isolating one antibiotic which is called as chlorelin, which is the antibiotic. Okay, then this chlorella is used as a source of food and oxygen by as a source of oxygen by space travelers. So it is having a role in space research also. And there are some parasitic algae. See, like some algae like Cephalurus. This is living in a parasitic mode in the leaves of this is a this is having a parasitic mode. Okay, and where it will live? It will live on the leaves of tea plant. Tea plant leaves. It is living, right? And that is causing red rust disease, which causes red rust disease. Clear? So that's about which one chlorophysae. And next we need to learn about phaeophysae. Phaeophysae, in that we can say and phaeophysae, we can say phaeophysae is also called as brown algae or seaweed. Brown algae or seaweed or kelp. Okay, here when we are saying about the habitat, brown algae are found in marine water. Actually, they are having marine habitat, or they are found in marine water. And structure, when we are saying about the structure, we can say brown algae, they are multicellular. They have multicellular structure and they are filamentous, right? Multicellular filamentous forms. Okay, and brown algae, they are the largest in size, like up to 100 meters in length. Largest. Okay, length will be around 100 meters length, we can see in them. And largest brown algae, which is the largest brown algae? Largest brown algae is Macrocystis. Macrocystis is the largest brown algae, and the plant body, usually that plant body is attached to the substratum. Okay, here you can see this will be the plant body types, right? So this plant body will be, here you can see whole fast, which is attached to the substratum, and that is having a stalk or stipe, we can call. This stack or stipe is a leaf-like structure, or it is a leaf-like structure completely, like it can do the photosynthesis. Leaf-like structure which can perform photosynthesis. Okay, that is called as front. So how the structure will be hold fast, which can attach to the substratum, and that is having a stack, which is called as stipe. Stack like structure. See, here you can see this is attaching hold fast, it's attaching to the substratum. Then a stack like structure is there, which is called as stipe, right? And here you can see a photosynthetic part, which is like a lamina or a leaf like structure, which is called as front or lamina. Clear? So brown algae, they are known as leafy algae. Okay, they're otherwise called as leafy algae due to their structure. Okay, so here laminaria, from this you can see the complete details. It is having a leaf-like structure, right? So here leafy algae, that brown algae are called as leafy algae, and Best example you can see here, that is the laminaria. It is having holdfast which is attaching to the substratum, then a stalk-like structure which is called stipe, and a leaf lamina-like structure which is called as frond or lamina. Clear? So this is the structure of laminaria. Then uh, vegetative cells that have cellulosic wall. Vegetative cells have cellulosic wall, and that is covered on the outside by gelatinous coating of algae. Covered by algae, which is a gelatinous coating. And in brown algae, protoplast is having, or protoplast contains plastid. Okay. In brown algae, in protoplasm, what and all you can see? Plastid. Protoplast is having, in protoplast, you can see plastid, then centrally located vacuole. Vacuole will be centrally located, and you can see nucleus. So in the protoplasm of brown algae, you can see plastid and vacuole which is centrally located, and a nucleus also you can see. Clear? So example is fucus, then dictyota, ectocarpus. Fucus and dictyota you can see here. Then ectocarpus is one more example. Clear? So here you can see the air bladder. When we are saying about the structure of fucus, you again here holdfast is there, and leaf-like structure which is frond, and the midrib is there. Then what you can see, air bladders you can see here. See, can you see the air bladders here? And next about dictyota, when we are saying again here stripe is there, then front, all this we can say in dictyota also, right? So we said about the gelatinous coating, or the phycocolloids or the hydrocolloids, right? Which is the gelatinous coating. So that this gelatinous coating is made up of algin, which is having very high water holding capacity. Okay, we said about algin that is having a very high water holding capacity, and this phycocolloids or algin that is protecting the brown algae against the desiccation and against shocks. Which one? Algin is protecting the brown algae against shocks and desiccations. Then the phycocolloids, which are used in this phycocolloid like algin, they are used in ice creams as what? This is used in ice creams as thickening agent. Okay, it's used as thickening agent, and this algin that is used in the manufacturing of soap, then ice cream, polish, cream, and plastic. All these algin is being used, right? So we learned about phaeophysae, and some more points which we need to learn about phaeophysae is, like we said about pigments, right? So if we are talking about algae and types or main types of algae, first you need to tell about habitat, then structure, then any special features are there that you need to mention, then about the pigments, then stored food, then their reproduction. Okay, in reproduction, asexual and sexual mode of reproduction, you can say. So here now we need to tell about the pigments. Pigments, chlorophyll A and chlorophyll C, you can say in this one. In which one? In brown algae or phaeophysae. Clear? And carotene, you can see only beta carotene. Only beta carotene is present. Then xanthophylls, mainly fucoxanthin is present. Fucoxanthin that is present. Okay. Then stored food, when we are saying about stored food, this laminaria, and in that and all you can see laminarin. Okay, laminarin, and then one more form like mannitol. Mannitol, these both are derivatives of carbohydrate. These are derivatives of carbohydrate. So these are seen in phaeophysae. Clear? Then when we are saying about reproduction, asexual reproduction and sexual reproduction. Asexual reproduction by zoospores and sexual reproduction in brown algae, that may be isogamous, anisogamous, or oogamous. Iso, aniso, or oogamous. Any mode of sexual reproduction, any type of sexual reproduction you can see. Okay. And here you need to mention that sargassum, the examples of brown algae, that sargassum that is used as a food, and laminaria which is used as a food, and from laminaria, iodine and bromine both are obtained from laminaria. Clear this one? So that's the points which you need to learn about phaeophysae. And next is about rhodophysae or red algae. Rhodophysae is red algae. R. Try to remember like that. Red algae, rhodophysae. This red algae, these are ancient algae or primitive algae. Which one? Red algae. Okay, so example is Polysiphonia. Here you can see the example Polysiphonia. And here for Polysiphonia, you can see branches are there, main axis are there. So there is, in red algae and blue-green algae, there is no motile stage. Okay, in blue-green algae and red algae, there is no motile stage in their life cycle. So in their life cycle, there is no motile stages found. That means they don't have, it's non-motile means what you can say, there is no cilia and flagella. So cilia and flagella are absent because it is non-motile. Then what about the habitat? See, red algae, these are mainly found in marine water. Marine water, and in greater concentration, they are found in which area? Warmer areas. But freshwater forms are also there. See, here also exceptional cases coming. Batrachospermum. Batrachospermum, that is the red algae which is found in fresh water. This is freshwater form. Okay, freshwater form, mainly you can see in rivers and all. Next is about structure. Structure. So habitat over, next about structure. Actually, these are multicellular. Red algae, they are multicellular, and the cell wall of red algae, that is very complex because it is made up of cellulose and pectin with polysulfate esters. Cell wall is made up of cellulose and pectin with polysulfate esters. Clear? And some red algae, they can secrete and deposit calcium carbonate. Some can deposit calcium carbonate and they appear like corals. So that appear like corals. Okay. And which are the pigments present in this? Pigments. See, habitat over, structure over. Then about pigment we need to tell. Chlorophyll, you can say chlorophyll A and chlorophyll D. Okay, then what about carotenes? Carotenes, beta carotene is present. Okay, then phycobilins. The pigment phycobilin, R-phycoerythrin and R-phycocyanin. R-phycoerythrin, which is red in color. This is red color pigment, and R-phycocyanin, which is blue. This phycocyanin, R-phycocyanin, which is blue in color. So on the basis of pigments, this red algae, they are similar to blue-green algae. Blue-green algae are also having same pigments, and red algae is the deepest algae which is found in the depth. Okay, this is found in depth. And pigment wise, it is similar to blue-green algae. So on the basis of pigments, red algae are similar to blue-green algae. Then what about the stored food? Floridian starch, that is the stored food form. Stored food form in rhodophyceae or red algae, that is Floridian starch. That is a stored form of food which is structurally similar to glycogen and amylopectin. This is similar to glycogen and amylopectin. Then about reproduction. Again, we need to say about reproduction in rhodophyceae. Reproduction in rhodophyceae. Here you can see asexual and sexual reproduction. See here, asexual reproduction, you can say non-motile spores. Spores are forming, but they are non-motile. They doesn't have cilia, flagella, and all for their movement. What about sexual reproduction? Sexual reproduction, that is oogamous, and that is accompanied by complex post-fertilization development. Oogamous sexual reproduction is taking place, and after that, post-fertilization developments are taking place. Then about the life cycle of Polysiphonia. Here we have seen the Polysiphonia, and the life cycle of Polysiphonia, that is diplobiontic. Right? And the life cycle is haplobiontic in batrachospermum. Life cycle in batrachospermum. That is, they're having haplobiontic life cycle. Okay, so here we have learned about the algae. So algae, that is divided into chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae and rhodophyceae. And rhodophyceae, we need to tell one more point, or red algae, we need to tell the economic importance. Like Harvella, which is a colorless parasitic algae that remain as a parasite on the other algae. And Porphyra, here we have mentioned Porphyra, that is edible algae, and this is used as Porphyra is edible algae which is used as a food. Okay, then we said about Gelidium, Gracilaria and all that. So agar agar, which is a hydrocolloid or a phycocolloid, that is obtained from this red algae. Which one? Gelidium and Gracilaria. Okay, so here you need to do one thing while learning about the classes of algae and their main characters. Just make a table in that. First, the classes of algae. Then the common name like green algae, brown algae, red algae. First classes of algae in that first you need to mention chlorophyceae, phaeophyceae, rhodophyceae. These are the classes. Then the common name, chlorophyceae is commonly called as green algae, phaeophyceae is commonly called as brown algae, rhodophyceae is commonly called as red algae, right? Then the major pigments which are present in each one. Chlorophyceae is having chlorophyll A and B, phaeophyceae is having chlorophyll A and C, and fucoxanthin. Then rhodophyceae is having chlorophyll A, D, and phycoerythrin. The next about the stored food form. Okay, in chlorophyceae, stored food you can see in the form of starch. In phaeophyceae or in brown algae, you can see mannitol and laminarin. And rhodophyceae, you can see floridian starch. Right? And the cell wall of each one. In green algae, cell wall is composed of cellulose and pectin. Then phaeophyceae, you can see cellulose and algin. And rhodophyceae, you can see cellulose and pectin with polysulfate esters, that you have to mention. Then the flagellar number and the position of insertion. Here you can see 2 to 8 flagella you can see in chlorophyceae. Then 2 flagellas you can see in phaeophyceae, which are unequal and they have lateral in position, and this flagella that is absent in rhodophyceae, right? And habitat. Chlorophyceae, they have freshwater, brackish water, and saltwater forms. In phaeophyceae, you can see freshwater forms, brackish water forms, and saltwater forms. Then in rhodophyceae, you can see freshwater, brackish water, and saltwater forms. Clear? So these are the important points, the complete points you need to learn about algae. So all the important points we have covered, and in the next class we'll be learning about Thallophyta and Bryophyta. Clear? Thank you.